Love is often described as the foundation of happiness because it is through loving and being loved that we experience the most profound and lasting forms of joy. Happiness derived from material possessions or achievements is often fleeting. As these things can be taken away or lose their significance over time, love is a fundamental force in human existence, serving as the foundation of happiness and harmony in our lives. From the earliest moments of our existence, love is a guiding force that shapes our understanding of the world, our relationships with others, and our sense of self. It is through love that we find meaning and purpose. As it drives our actions, influences our decisions, and provides a framework for our interactions with others. The power of love is such that it transcends all boundaries, cultural, social, or personal, serving as a universal language that connects us all. Whether it is the love between family members, friends, or even strangers, this emotion has the ability to transform lives, heal wounds, and bring people together in ways that nothing else can. Love is often described as the foundation of happiness because it is through loving and being loved that we experience the most profound and lasting forms of joy. Happiness derived from material possessions or achievements is often fleeting, as these things can be taken away or lose their significance over time. However, the happiness that comes from love is enduring. It is a deep, abiding sense of contentment and fulfillment that remains even in the face of challenges and hardships. When we feel loved, we feel valued and appreciated, which fosters a sense of self-worth and confidence. This, in turn, allows us to approach life with a positive and optimistic attitude, further enhancing our happiness. Moreover, love is a powerful antidote to the stresses and anxieties of life. In a world that is often chaotic and unpredictable, love provides a sense of stability and security. Knowing that we are loved gives us the strength to face difficulties and the courage to take risks. It reassures us that we are not alone in our struggles and that there is someone who cares about our well-being. This sense of security is a critical component of happiness, as it allows us to let go of our fears and anxieties and embrace the present moment. Love, therefore, acts as a buffer against the challenges of life, enabling us to maintain a sense of peace and tranquility even in difficult times. In addition to being the foundation of happiness, love is also the cornerstone of harmony in our lives. Harmony, in this context, refers to the balance and unity that love creates within us and in our relationships with others. When we are guided by love, our actions and decisions are aligned with our values and principles, creating a sense of inner peace and coherence. This inner harmony is reflected in our relationships with others, as love fosters understanding, empathy, and compassion. When we approach others with love, we are more likely to listen to them, respect their perspectives, and seek common ground. This, in turn, leads to more harmonious relationships, where conflicts are resolved peacefully and differences are embraced rather than feared. Love also plays a crucial role in promoting social harmony. In a world that is often divided by differences in race, religion, culture, and ideology, love serves as a unifying force that transcends these divisions. It encourages us to see beyond our differences and recognize the common humanity that binds us all. When we approach others with love, we are more likely to treat them with kindness, respect, and dignity, regardless of their background or beliefs. This creates a more inclusive and compassionate society, where everyone feels valued and accepted. Social harmony, therefore, is not just the absence of conflict, but the presence of love in our interactions with others. Furthermore, love is the driving force behind many of the positive changes in the world. Throughout history, movements for social justice, equality, and human rights have been fueled by love, the love for humanity and the desire to create a better world for future generations. Love inspires us to take action, to stand up for what is right, and to fight against injustice. It motivates us to care for the vulnerable, to protect the environment, and to work towards a world where everyone can live with dignity and respect. Love, therefore, is not just a personal emotion, but a powerful force for social change. The importance of love in life is also reflected in the teachings of many religions and spiritual traditions. For example, in Christianity, love is considered the greatest of all virtues, with Jesus teaching that the greatest commandments are to love God and to love one's neighbor as oneself. In Buddhism, loving-kindness metta is a central practice, encouraging individuals to cultivate a boundless love for all beings. In Islam, love is seen as an essential quality of God, with believers encouraged to show love and compassion towards others. These teachings highlight the universal recognition of love as a fundamental principle that guides moral and ethical behavior. In addition to its moral and ethical dimensions, love also has profound psychological and physiological benefits. Research has shown that love and affection can have a positive impact on our mental and physical health. For example, loving relationships have been linked to lower levels of stress, anxiety, and depression, as well as better immune function and cardiovascular health. Love also promotes the release of feel-good hormones, such as oxytocin and endorphins, which enhance our mood and overall well-being. The benefits of love, therefore, extend beyond the emotional and spiritual realms, contributing to our overall health and longevity. Moreover, love is a powerful catalyst for personal growth and self-actualization. When we love and are loved, we are encouraged to be the best versions of ourselves. Love inspires us to strive for our goals, to overcome our limitations, and to reach our full potential. It provides us with the support and encouragement we need to take on new challenges and to grow as individuals. In this sense, love is not just about making us happy or harmonious, but about helping us to become the people we were meant to be. Love is the binding force that holds together the intricate web of human relationships, playing a pivotal role in the dynamics of families, friendships, and communities. It is the essence that nurtures, sustains, and strengthens these bonds, enabling individuals to connect deeply with one another and fostering a sense of belonging and security. In each of these relational contexts, family, friendships, and community, love manifests in unique ways, shaping interactions, guiding behavior, and creating environments where individuals can thrive emotionally, socially, and spiritually. Within the family, love serves as the cornerstone of relationships between parents, children, and extended family members. The family is often considered the first social unit in which individuals experience love and care. And it is within this context that foundational values and behaviors are learned. Parental love, for example, is characterized by nurturing, protection, and unconditional support. This form of love is crucial for the development of a child's sense of self-worth, security, and emotional well-being. When children are loved and supported by their parents, they are more likely to develop into confident, resilient individuals who can navigate the challenges of life with a positive outlook. Parental love also fosters a sense of responsibility and mutual respect within the family, encouraging children to reciprocate this love by caring for their parents and siblings. Sibling relationships, too, are deeply influenced by love. Sibling love often manifests as loyalty, companionship, and shared experiences. Despite the occasional rivalry or conflict, the love between siblings can be one of the most enduring and significant relationships in an individual's life. It provides a sense of continuity and shared history that can be comforting in times of change or uncertainty. In families where love is a guiding principle, siblings learn to support and uplift one another, creating a strong familial bond that extends beyond childhood and into adulthood. Love also plays a crucial role in marriages and partnerships within the family. In a healthy marriage, love is the foundation upon which trust, commitment, and mutual respect are built. It is through love that partners navigate the complexities of life together, facing challenges and celebrating successes as a united team. Love in a marital relationship is multifaceted, encompassing emotional intimacy, physical affection, and a deep sense of companionship. It is this love that enables couples to weather the storms of life and to build a life together that is fulfilling and meaningful. Furthermore, the love between partners often sets the tone for the overall family environment, influencing how children perceive relationships and shaping their expectations for their own future relationships. In friendships, love is equally important, though it takes on a different form than in familial relationships. Friendship is often described as a form of love that is chosen, based on mutual affection, trust, and shared interests or values. Unlike family relationships, which are often defined by obligation or social expectations, friendships are voluntary, making the love within them particularly significant. Friends offer emotional support, companionship, and a sense of belonging that is essential for psychological well-being. The love shared between friends can provide a refuge from the stresses of life, offering a space where individuals can be themselves without fear of judgment. This unconditional acceptance and understanding are at the heart of true friendship. Moreover, friendships often serve as a source of growth and self-discovery. Through the love and support of friends, individuals are encouraged to explore their interests, develop their talents, and pursue their goals. Friends can also provide valuable perspectives and insights, helping one another to see situations in a new light or to make decisions with greater clarity. In this way, the love within friendships is not only a source of comfort but also a catalyst for personal development. Additionally, friendships often serve as a bridge between different social groups, fostering a sense of community and connectedness that transcends individual relationships. In the broader context of community relationships, love plays a vital role in fostering social cohesion and collective well-being. Communities are composed of individuals and families who share common spaces, resources, and often values. The love that individuals have for their community is reflected in acts of kindness, cooperation, and civic engagement. When community members are motivated by love and a sense of shared responsibility, they are more likely to work together to address common challenges, support one another in times of need, and contribute to the overall health and vitality of the community. Love in this context is not just an emotion but an active force that drives people to care for their neighbors, to volunteer their time and resources, and to advocate for justice and equality within their community. Community love also manifests in the creation and maintenance of safe, inclusive, and welcoming environments where all members feel valued and respected. This type of love encourages the celebration of diversity and the inclusion of marginalized or vulnerable populations, ensuring that everyone has the opportunity to participate fully in community life. In communities where love is a guiding principle, there is a strong sense of solidarity and mutual support, which can be particularly important in times of crisis or social upheaval. This collective love not only strengthens the fabric of the community but also enhances the well-being of its individual members, creating a virtuous cycle of support and positivity. Furthermore, love in community relationships can inspire collective action for the common good. Whether through grassroots movements, charitable organizations, or simply neighborly acts of kindness, love motivates individuals to come together to address social issues, improve living conditions, and create a better future for all. This type of love is often driven by a deep sense of empathy and a desire to make a positive impact on the world. It is through this love that communities can achieve remarkable things. From building schools and hospitals to organizing social justice campaigns and disaster relief efforts, the power of love in community relationships is transformative, enabling ordinary people to accomplish extraordinary things when they come together for a common purpose. The power of love granted by God is one of the most profound and transformative forces in the human experience. Love, as a divine gift, transcends mere emotion, reaching into the very essence of what it means to live a life filled with purpose, meaning, and connection. This love, bestowed upon us by God, is not only a source of personal joy and fulfillment but also a powerful catalyst for living a life characterized by compassion and altruism. It is through this divine love that we are able to transcend our own self-interest and embrace a higher calling, one that compels us to act with kindness, empathy, and generosity toward others. At its core, love is a reflection of God's nature, selfless, unconditional, and boundless. In many religious traditions, God is described as the embodiment of love, the source from which all love flows. The Bible, for example, teaches that God is love, 1 John 4 verse 8, and this love is the foundation of all creation. It is through God's love that the universe was brought into being. And it is this same love that sustains and nurtures all life. When we experience love, whether it is the love of a parent, a friend, or a partner, we are experiencing a glimpse of this divine love, a love that is pure, infinite, and unchanging. This divine love is not something that we can earn or achieve through our own efforts, rather, it is a gift freely given to us by God. It is through this gift that we are empowered to love others. Not just in a superficial or conditional way, but with a depth and sincerity that mirrors God's own love for us. This love enables us to see beyond the external differences that often divide us, such as race, religion, or social status, and to recognize the inherent dignity and worth of every person. It calls us to act with compassion, to reach out to those who are suffering, and to offer help and support without expecting anything in return. Compassion, as an expression of God's love, is a powerful force for good in the world. It is the ability to feel empathy for the suffering of others and to be moved to take action to alleviate that suffering. Compassion goes beyond mere sympathy, it is a deep, heartfelt response to the pain and struggles of others, driven by a desire to bring comfort, healing, and hope. This compassion is rooted in the understanding that we are all connected, that the suffering of one person affects us all, and that we have a responsibility to care for one another. The love that God grants us not only enables us to feel compassion but also empowers us to act on it. This is where altruism comes into play. Altruism is the selfless concern for the well-being of others, a willingness to put the needs of others before our own. It is a manifestation of God's love in action, a tangible expression of our commitment to living out the values of kindness, generosity, and service. Altruism is not motivated by a desire for recognition or reward, rather, it is an outpouring of the love that God has placed in our hearts, a love that seeks to uplift, encourage, and support others. In a world that is often characterized by division, conflict, and selfishness, the power of God's love to inspire compassion and altruism is a beacon of hope. It reminds us that we are capable of great acts of kindness and that our actions, no matter how small, can have a profound impact on the lives of others. Whether it is offering a kind word to someone in need, volunteering our time to help those less fortunate, or standing up for justice and equality, every act of love contributes to the creation of a more compassionate and just world. The transformative power of God's love is also evident in its ability to change hearts and minds. When we open ourselves to this love, we are transformed from the inside out. Our priorities shift, our values deepen, and our desire to serve others grows stronger. We begin to see the world through the lens of love, recognizing the beauty and worth of every person we encounter. This transformation is not always easy, it often requires us to confront our own biases, prejudices, and fears. But with God's love as our guide, we are able to move beyond these limitations and embrace a life of compassion and service. Furthermore, the love that God grants us is not limited to our interactions with others. It also extends to how we view and treat ourselves. Self-love, grounded in the recognition of our own worth as children of God, is an important aspect of living a life of compassion and altruism. When we love ourselves in a healthy and balanced way, we are better equipped to love others. We are able to give from a place of fullness rather than emptiness, and our acts of kindness and service are more genuine and sustainable. God's love teaches us that we are valuable, that we have a purpose, and that our lives have meaning. This self-love is not about vanity or selfishness, it is about honoring the gift of life that God has given us and using it to serve others. The power of God's love also extends to how we interact with the natural world. As stewards of creation, we are called to care for the earth and all its inhabitants. This responsibility is an expression of the love that God has for all creation. A love that we are called to reflect in our actions. Whether it is through environmental conservation, protecting endangered species, or advocating for policies that promote sustainability. Our love for the natural world is a reflection of our love for God and His creation. In addition to inspiring individual acts of compassion and altruism, God's love has the power to bring about collective change. When communities come together in love, they can achieve remarkable things. This collective love is what drives social movements, charitable organizations, and humanitarian efforts around the world. It is the force that unites people across differences, breaks down barriers, and creates a sense of shared purpose. When we act out of love, we are contributing to something much larger than ourselves. We are participating in God's work of bringing healing, justice, and peace to the world. The Bible verse from 1 Corinthians 13 verse 13, and now these three remain, faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love, encapsulates one of the most profound teachings in Christian scripture. This verse is part of a larger passage often referred to as the love chapter, where the Apostle Paul eloquently describes the nature and importance of love in the life of a believer. In this verse, Paul emphasizes three core virtues, faith, hope, and love, that are essential to the Christian life. Yet he declares that love is the greatest of all. Faith, hope, and love are foundational to the Christian journey, each playing a vital role in guiding and sustaining believers throughout their lives. Faith is the assurance of things hoped for and the conviction of things not seen. Hebrews 11 verse 1. It is through faith that believers trust in God's promises, even when they cannot see the outcome. Faith anchors the soul, giving strength and courage to face the uncertainties and challenges of life. It is through faith that believers are justified before God, as it is written. For it is by grace you have been saved, through faith. Ephesians 2 verse 8. Faith, therefore, is not just belief in God's existence, but a deep, abiding trust in His goodness, His plan, and His provision. Hope, closely related to faith, is the confident expectation of what God has promised. It is the assurance that God is faithful and that He will fulfill His promises to His people. Hope is what keeps believers looking forward, even in the face of adversity. It is a light that shines in the darkness, reminding believers that no matter how difficult the present circumstances may be, there is a future filled with God's goodness and grace. Hope sustains the spirit, providing the endurance needed to persevere through trials and hardships. The Bible often speaks of hope as something that does not disappoint. Because it is rooted in the unchanging character of God, and hope does not put us to shame, because God's love has been poured out into our hearts through the Holy Spirit. Romans 5 verse 5. Yet, despite the importance of faith and hope, Paul asserts that love is the greatest of these three virtues. This declaration elevates love above faith and hope, signifying its unique and unparalleled importance in the Christian life. But why is love considered the greatest? The answer lies in the very nature of love as described throughout Scripture. Love is the essence of God Himself, as stated in 1 John 4 verse 8. Whoever does not love does not know God, because God is love. Love is not merely an emotion or a feeling, it is an action, a commitment, and a reflection of the divine nature. When believers love, they are participating in the very life of God, who is the source of all love. Furthermore, love is what gives meaning and substance to both faith and hope. Without love, faith is empty, and hope is hollow. In 1 Corinthians 13, Paul elaborates on this by saying, "If I have a faith that can move mountains, but do not have love, I am nothing." 1 Corinthians 13 verse 2. Faith, when exercised without love, can lead to arrogance, self-righteousness, or judgmental attitudes. Love, however, humbles and softens the heart, ensuring that faith is expressed in kindness, compassion, and service to others. Similarly, hope without love can become self-centered or escapist, focusing solely on personal deliverance rather than the well-being of others. Love directs hope outward, inspiring believers to work for the betterment of the world and the lives of those around them. Love is also eternal, outlasting both faith and hope. In the eschatological vision of the Christian faith, there will come a time when faith will become sight and hope will be fulfilled. When believers stand in the presence of God, they will no longer need faith to believe in what they cannot see, nor hope for what is yet to come. However, love will remain, for love is the very fabric of the relationship between God and His creation. Love is what will characterize the eternal life of the believer, where they will dwell in perfect love with God and with one another. This is why Paul emphasizes that love is the greatest, it is the one virtue that will endure forever. Moreover, love is the greatest because it is the fulfillment of God's law. Jesus himself taught that the greatest commandments are to love God with all one's heart, soul, and mind, and to love one's neighbor as oneself. Matthew 22 verses 37 to 39. All the law and the prophets hang on these two commandments, which are both rooted in love. Love is the guiding principle that should govern every action, decision, and relationship in the life of a believer. It is through love that believers fulfill their calling to be the light of the world and the salt of the earth. Love compels believers to act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with their God. Micah 6 verse 8. In the practical outworking of the Christian life, love manifests in various ways, through acts of kindness, forgiveness, generosity, and self-sacrifice. It is the love that binds families together, that strengthens friendships, and that builds communities. Love is what motivates believers to serve others, to care for the poor and the marginalized, and to seek justice and peace in the world. It is the love that drives missionary work, charitable endeavors, and all forms of ministry. Without love, these actions would be empty and devoid of true spiritual significance. Love is what gives them purpose and power, making them effective in bringing about God's kingdom on earth. The transformative power of love is also evident in its ability to heal and reconcile. Love has the power to break down barriers, to bridge divides, and to restore broken relationships. It is through love that enemies can become friends, that wrongs can be forgiven, and that peace can be achieved. In a world often characterized by division, hatred, and conflict, the love that God grants His people stands as a beacon of hope and a model for how to live. It is the love that turns the other cheek, that goes the extra mile, and that lays down one's life for others. This is the radical, self-giving love that Jesus demonstrated on the cross, and it is the love that He calls His followers to emulate. When hearts are filled with love, a profound transformation occurs within individuals and in the way they interact with others. Love, as a guiding force, cultivates qualities such as patience, understanding, and empathy, which are essential for forgiveness and acceptance. In relationships, whether they be within families, friendships, or communities, love serves as the foundation upon which people can build trust and mutual respect. It softens hearts, allowing individuals to see beyond their own perspectives and grievances, enabling them to understand and appreciate the viewpoints and feelings of others. This empathetic understanding is a crucial step toward forgiveness, as it shifts the focus from personal hurt and offense to a broader perspective of compassion and reconciliation. Forgiveness, born out of love, is a powerful act that not only heals the person who is forgiven but also brings peace to the one who forgives. Holding on to resentment and anger can be emotionally and mentally exhausting, creating a cycle of negativity that affects all aspects of life. However, when love fills the heart, it becomes easier to let go of grudges and past wrongs. Love encourages individuals to forgive, not because the other person necessarily deserves it, but because forgiveness is a gift that liberates the soul from the burden of bitterness. It is through love that people can find the strength to forgive even the deepest hurts. Recognizing that forgiveness is not a sign of weakness, but of immense inner strength and grace. Acceptance, closely linked to forgiveness, is another vital aspect of love. When hearts are filled with love, People are more inclined to accept others for who they are, without judgment or condemnation. Love allows individuals to embrace the differences that make each person unique, fostering a sense of inclusivity and belonging. This acceptance does not mean agreeing with or condoning every action or belief, but rather, it is about respecting others' humanity and dignity, regardless of differences. Love-driven acceptance creates an environment where people feel safe and valued, encouraging open communication and mutual support. In such an environment, relationships flourish, and the bonds between individuals are strengthened. The power of love to dissolve conflicts is profound. Conflict is an inevitable part of human interaction, arising from misunderstandings, differing opinions, or perceived injustices. However, when love is present, it acts as a mediator, guiding individuals toward peaceful resolution. Love encourages open and honest communication, allowing parties in conflict to express their feelings and concerns without fear of retaliation or further harm. This kind of communication is essential for resolving conflicts, as it helps to clarify misunderstandings and allows both sides to find common ground. Love tempers the natural human inclination to react defensively or aggressively in the face of conflict, instead promoting patience, listening, and empathy. Moreover, love enables individuals to prioritize the relationship over the conflict itself. When people are motivated by love, they are more likely to seek reconciliation rather than victory in a disagreement. This shift in perspective is crucial for dissolving conflicts, as it moves the focus from winning an argument to restoring harmony and understanding. Love helps individuals to see the bigger picture, recognizing that preserving the relationship and fostering peace is more important than proving oneself right or holding on to grievances. This approach not only resolves the immediate conflict but also prevents future disagreements from escalating into larger issues. In families, for instance, conflicts between siblings, parents, and children are common. These conflicts can stem from a variety of sources, including differing expectations, misunderstandings, or the stresses of daily life. However, when love is the guiding principle, these conflicts can be addressed in a constructive manner. Love encourages family members to listen to each other's concerns, to apologize when necessary, and to forgive past mistakes. This process of reconciliation is essential for maintaining the bonds that hold a family together. When family members forgive and accept each other, they create a home environment that is nurturing, supportive, and harmonious. In friendships, love plays a similar role in resolving conflicts. Friendships, like any other relationship, can experience tensions and disagreements. However, when friends are motivated by love, they are more likely to approach these conflicts with a desire to understand and resolve them rather than to harbor resentment. Love in friendship means valuing the relationship enough to work through difficulties, to apologize, and to forgive. It also means accepting each other's flaws and imperfections, recognizing that true friendship is not about perfection but about mutual support and understanding. Through love, conflicts in friendships can be transformed into opportunities for growth and deeper connection. In communities, the presence of love can have a transformative impact on social harmony. Communities are made up of diverse individuals with different backgrounds, beliefs, and experiences. These differences can sometimes lead to misunderstandings, prejudice, or even hostility. However, when love is the foundation of a community, it fosters an environment of acceptance and inclusivity. Love encourages community members to see each other as equals, deserving of respect and dignity. It promotes dialogue and cooperation, allowing differences to be addressed constructively rather than divisively. Love-driven community initiatives often focus on reconciliation and healing, bringing people together to resolve conflicts and build a more cohesive and harmonious society. On a broader scale, love has the power to dissolve conflicts between groups, nations, and even entire cultures. History is replete with examples of conflicts that have been resolved not through force or domination, but through love, compassion, and understanding. Leaders who have embodied these principles, such as Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr., and Nelson Mandela, have shown that love is a powerful force for social change. Their commitment to nonviolence, reconciliation, and justice was rooted in a deep love for humanity and a belief in the inherent worth of every individual. Their examples demonstrate that love is not just a personal virtue but a powerful tool for transforming societies and creating a more just and peaceful world. Furthermore, love brings harmony by encouraging a spirit of cooperation and mutual aid. In any group or society, conflicts often arise from competition, scarcity, or the struggle for power. However, love shifts the focus from competition to cooperation, from scarcity to abundance, and from power struggles to shared leadership. When people are motivated by love, they are more willing to share resources, to collaborate for the common good, and to support one another's success. This spirit of cooperation is essential for building harmonious communities, organizations, and nations. Love, in this sense, is the glue that binds people together, enabling them to work toward common goals and to create a more harmonious and just world. The Bible verse from 1 Peter 4 verse 8. Above all, love each other deeply, because love covers over a multitude of sins, serves as a profound reminder of the transformative power of love in human relationships. This verse emphasizes the paramount importance of love in the Christian life, placing it above all other virtues and actions. It speaks to the ability of love to heal, to forgive, and to bring about reconciliation in a way that nothing else can. The directive to love each other deeply calls for a love that goes beyond surface-level affection or politeness. It demands a love that is sincere, intense, and enduring, capable of enduring the challenges and trials that inevitably arise in relationships. At the heart of this verse is the idea that love has the power to cover over a multitude of sins. This phrase is rich with meaning and implications, suggesting that love is a powerful force that can overcome and forgive even the most serious of wrongs. In human relationships, sin often manifests as actions or attitudes that harm others, whether through words, deeds, or omissions. These sins can create rifts between people, leading to pain, anger, and division. However, when love is present, it has the capacity to bridge these divides, to heal the wounds caused by sin, and to restore broken relationships. Love does not ignore or excuse sin, but it chooses to see beyond it, to forgive, and to seek reconciliation. The idea of love covering over sins is closely related to the concept of forgiveness. Forgiveness is a central theme in Christian teaching, and it is deeply connected to love. When we love others deeply, we are more inclined to forgive them for their wrongs, to let go of bitterness, and to seek reconciliation. This kind of forgiveness is not about condoning or minimizing the seriousness of sin, but about choosing to release the hold that the offense has on us and on the relationship. It is an act of grace, mirroring the forgiveness that God extends to us through Christ. Just as God's love for us covers our sins, enabling us to be reconciled to Him, so too does our love for others cover their sins, enabling us to be reconciled to them. This verse also highlights the idea that love is an active force in overcoming the effects of sin. Sin often leads to guilt, shame, and estrangement, not only from others but also from oneself and from God. However, love has the power to counteract these effects, offering acceptance, understanding, and compassion. When we love others deeply, we create a space where they can be vulnerable, where they can confess their wrongs without fear of rejection, and where they can find the support they need to change and grow. This kind of love is redemptive. It transforms not only the person who is loved but also the one who loves, bringing both closer to the image of God. Moreover, the directive to love each other deeply speaks to the need for perseverance and commitment in love. Deep love is not fleeting or conditional, it endures through difficulties, misunderstandings, and disappointments. It is a love that is willing to make sacrifices, to put the needs of others before one's own, and to continue loving even when it is difficult. This kind of love is rare and precious, but it is what the Christian life calls for. It is a reflection of the love that God has for us, a love that is steadfast, unchanging, and unconditional. When we love others deeply, we are participating in this divine love, allowing it to flow through us and into the world. The verse from 1 Peter 4 verse 8 also serves as a call to prioritize love in all of our interactions. The phrase, above all, indicates that love should be the guiding principle in how we relate to others. It suggests that no matter what else we do, whether we serve, give, or teach, if love is not at the center of our actions, we have missed the mark. Love is what gives meaning and value to everything else we do. Without love, our actions may be good, but they lack the power to truly transform lives. With love, however, even the smallest acts of kindness can have a profound impact. In the context of Christian community, this verse underscores the importance of love as the glue that holds the community together. In any group of people, there will be conflicts, misunderstandings, and offenses. However, when love is the foundation of the community, it has the power to overcome these challenges, to maintain unity, and to foster an environment of grace and forgiveness. Love covers over the multitude of sins that inevitably arise when imperfect people live and work together. It is love that enables the community to function as a body, where each member is valued, supported, and encouraged, despite their flaws and failures. Furthermore, this verse calls believers to a love that is not just for those who are easy to love, but for everyone. It is easy to love those who are kind, generous, and likable, but the true test of love is in how we treat those who are difficult, those who have wronged us, and those who are different from us. The call to love each other deeply includes loving our enemies, loving those who have hurt us, and loving those who are hard to understand or accept. This kind of love is radical and countercultural, but it is the love that Jesus demonstrated and that he calls his followers to embody. The power of love to cover a multitude of sins is also a reflection of the transformative nature of love in the life of the believer. As we grow in love, we become more like Christ, who is the perfect example of love. Christ's love was sacrificial, selfless, and all-encompassing. It is this love that we are called to emulate in our own lives. As we love others deeply, we are participating in the ongoing work of redemption and reconciliation that God is doing in the world. Our love becomes a reflection of God's love, a tangible expression of His grace and mercy to those around us. Acts of love are the tangible expressions of the deep, transformative power that love holds in our lives. Among the most profound of these acts are those that involve helping the poor and caring for those around us. These acts are not merely charitable deeds, they are reflections of the divine love that God has implanted in our hearts, a love that calls us to reach out to others with compassion, generosity, and selflessness. Helping the poor and caring for others are foundational aspects of living out our faith, as they embody the principles of justice, mercy, and humility that are central to the teachings of Christ. In these acts of love, we are called to emulate the example of Jesus, who spent his life ministering to the needs of the marginalized, the oppressed, and the forgotten. Helping the poor is one of the most direct and impactful ways we can demonstrate love in action. Throughout Scripture, there is a clear and consistent emphasis on the importance of caring for the poor and vulnerable. In the Old Testament, God commands his people to defend the cause of the fatherless, plead the case of the widow, Isaiah 1 verse 17, and to ensure that the needy are provided for. This theme continues in the New Testament, where Jesus declares that whatever we do for the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, we do for him. Matthew 25 verse 40. Helping the poor is not just an act of charity, it is a moral and spiritual obligation that reflects the heart of God. It is through these acts of love that we participate in God's redemptive work in the world, bringing hope and healing to those who are most in need. Caring for those around us extends beyond financial assistance, it encompasses a wide range of actions motivated by love. It includes offering a listening ear to someone who is struggling, providing comfort to those who are grieving, and offering support to those who are facing difficult circumstances. It also involves standing up for those who are treated unjustly, advocating for those who are voiceless, and working to create a society that is more just and equitable. These acts of care and compassion are not optional for those who follow Christ. They are integral to living a life that reflects the love of God. By caring for others, we are living out the commandment to love our neighbors as ourselves. Mark 12 verse 31, recognizing the inherent dignity and worth of every person as a child of God. One of the most powerful aspects of these acts of love is that they are done without expectation of anything in return. This selfless giving is a reflection of the purest form of love, the love that God has for us. God's love is unconditional and boundless, given freely and without reservation. It is a love that does not demand repayment or recompense. It is a gift that is offered without strings attached. In the same way, we are called to love others selflessly, to give of ourselves without expecting anything in return. This kind of love is rare in a world that often operates on the principles of reciprocity and transaction. Yet, it is this selfless love that has the power to transform lives, to break down barriers, and to create a ripple effect of kindness and generosity that can change the world. God grants us the capacity to love in this way so that we may become instruments of His grace and mercy in the world. The love that we offer to others is not something that we generate on our own. It is a reflection of the love that we have received from God. It is through our relationship with God that we are filled with the love that enables us to give to others without expecting anything in return. This divine love empowers us to act with compassion, to serve those in need, and to extend grace and forgiveness to others, even when it is difficult. It is this love that enables us to see beyond our own desires and needs, to recognize the humanity and worth of others, and to act in ways that promote the well-being of all. The selfless nature of this love is also a reflection of the sacrificial love that Jesus demonstrated during His life and ministry. Jesus' life was marked by acts of love and service, as He continually reached out to those who were marginalized, oppressed, and in need. His ultimate act of love was His sacrifice on the cross, where He gave His life for the redemption of humanity. This act of selfless love is the model for how we are to live our lives, giving of ourselves for the sake of others, without expecting anything in return. Jesus' love was not motivated by what He could gain, but by His deep compassion and desire to reconcile humanity to God. As followers of Christ, we are called to embody this same selfless love in our interactions with others. The impact of giving without expecting anything in return is profound, both for the giver and the recipient. For the giver, it is an act of faith and trust, believing that God will provide and that our needs will be met, even as we give of ourselves. It is also an act of humility, recognizing that we are not the source of the love and resources we offer, but that we are merely stewards of what God has entrusted to us. This kind of giving fosters a sense of gratitude and contentment, as we learn to rely on God rather than on our own efforts or the responses of others. For the recipient, receiving love without the burden of reciprocation can be a deeply healing and transformative experience. It is a reminder that they are valued and loved for who they are, not for what they can offer in return. This kind of love can restore dignity, build self-worth, and encourage the recipient to extend the same kind of love to others. In this way, acts of selfless love create a ripple effect, spreading kindness and compassion throughout communities and beyond. Furthermore, giving without expecting anything in return reflects the kingdom values that Jesus taught. In a world that often operates on principles of power, wealth, and self-interest, selfless love stands as a countercultural force. It challenges the status quo, offering an alternative way of living that is based on generosity, service, and humility. This kind of love is revolutionary. It has the power to transform societies, to heal divisions, and to build communities that are rooted in mutual care and respect. The Bible verse from Hebrews 13 verse 16, "Do not forget to do good and to share with others, for with such sacrifices God is pleased," is a powerful reminder of the core principles of Christian living: doing good, sharing, and helping others. These actions are not merely encouraged, they are essential expressions of the love that God calls each believer to embody. This verse emphasizes that our faith is not only about personal piety or spiritual practices but also about how we live out our faith in tangible ways through acts of kindness, generosity, and service to others. It underscores the idea that sharing and helping others are not just good deeds but are central to what it means to love as God loves. In the Christian tradition, love is not simply an emotion or a feeling, it is an active force that compels us to move beyond ourselves and our own needs to care for the needs of others. This kind of love is selfless, sacrificial, and outward-focused. It is the love that Jesus demonstrated throughout his life and ministry, especially in his teachings and interactions with those who were marginalized, poor, and in need. Jesus repeatedly emphasized that true love is shown in how we treat others, particularly those who are vulnerable or disadvantaged. The verse from Hebrews 13 verse 16 captures this essence by urging believers not to forget to do good and to share with others, highlighting that these actions are what pleases God. The idea that sharing and helping others is the true expression of love speaks to the heart of what it means to live a life of faith. Love, in its truest form, is not passive but active. It is not content with simply feeling compassion or empathy, it seeks to translate those feelings into meaningful action. This is the kind of love that Jesus taught and exemplified, a love that is willing to go the extra mile, to give without expecting anything in return, and to sacrifice for the well-being of others. It is a love that is not confined to words or sentiments but is expressed through concrete actions that make a difference in the lives of others. Sharing, as mentioned in Hebrews 13 verse 16, is one of the most direct and impactful ways to express love. Sharing involves giving of what we have, whether it be our time, resources, or talents, to benefit others. This act of sharing is deeply rooted in the Christian understanding of stewardship, where believers recognize that everything they have is a gift from God and that they are called to use these gifts to serve others. Sharing is not just about giving material possessions. It is about offering support, encouragement, and companionship. It is about being present for others in their times of need, offering a listening ear, a helping hand, or a comforting word. This kind of sharing is a reflection of God's love, which is generous, unconditional, and overflowing. Helping others, as the verse suggests, is also a fundamental expression of love. Helping others requires us to step out of our comfort zones and to put the needs of others before our own. It involves acts of kindness, such as assisting someone who is struggling, providing for those who lack basic necessities, or offering guidance and support to those who are lost or confused. Helping others is an acknowledgement of our shared humanity and a recognition that we are all connected. It is an act of solidarity that builds community and fosters a sense of belonging. When we help others, we are not just meeting their immediate needs, we are also affirming their worth and dignity as individuals created in the image of God. The verse also mentions that these acts of doing good and sharing are sacrifices that please God. The idea of sacrifice is central to the Christian faith, as it reflects the ultimate sacrifice that Jesus made on the cross for the redemption of humanity. In this context, sacrifice is not about giving up something valuable for the sake of loss, but rather about offering something of worth to God as an act of worship and obedience. When we share and help others, we are making sacrifices, whether it be our time, resources, or energy, that are pleasing to God. These sacrifices are expressions of our love for God and our commitment to following His example. They are acts of worship that go beyond rituals and traditions, touching the very heart of what it means to live a life that honors God. Moreover, these acts of love, sharing and helping others, are transformative, both for the giver and the receiver. For the giver, these acts cultivate a spirit of generosity, gratitude, and humility. They remind us that we are not the center of the universe, but part of a larger community where we are called to serve and care for one another. These acts challenge us to let go of selfishness and to embrace a life of service. For the receiver, these acts of love can be life-changing. They provide tangible evidence of care and support, offering hope and encouragement in times of difficulty. They can restore dignity, build trust, and create a sense of belonging. In this way, the act of sharing and helping others is not just about meeting immediate needs, but about building relationships and fostering a sense of community. The verse from Hebrews 13 verse 16 also serves as a call to action for the Christian community as a whole. It challenges believers to be mindful of the needs of others and to be proactive in doing good. It reminds us that our faith is not just about personal salvation but about how we live out the values of the kingdom of God in our everyday lives. The verse encourages us to be intentional in our acts of love, to seek out opportunities to share and help others, and to do so with a spirit of generosity and humility. It is a reminder that our love for God is demonstrated in how we love others, and that this love is most fully realized in acts of service and sacrifice. Furthermore, this verse highlights the communal aspect of Christian faith. It emphasizes that doing good and sharing are not just individual acts, but collective responsibilities. As members of the body of Christ, we are called to support one another, to bear each other's burdens, and to work together for the common good. This communal dimension of love is essential for building a strong and vibrant Christian community where everyone is cared for, valued, and supported. It is through these collective acts of love that the church becomes a true reflection of God's kingdom on earth. A place where love, justice, and compassion reign. The Bible verse from Philippians 4 verse 13, "I can do all this through him who gives me strength," is a powerful affirmation of the divine empowerment that comes from faith in God. It is a reminder that, through God's strength, we are capable of overcoming obstacles, enduring hardships, and achieving great things. This strength is not merely physical or mental but is deeply rooted in spiritual fortitude, a resilience that is bolstered by the love of God. The meaning of this verse extends beyond the mere ability to perform tasks or overcome challenges. It speaks to the profound role that love plays in motivating and sustaining us on our journey of faith. Love, as granted by God, is not only a source of material assistance but also a powerful spiritual force that drives us to act with courage, compassion, and perseverance. Love, in its truest form, is a gift from God that transcends the physical and material realms. It is the divine force that inspires and empowers us to live out our faith in tangible ways. While love certainly moves us to provide material assistance, such as feeding the hungry, clothing the poor, or offering shelter to the homeless, it also serves as a deep spiritual motivation that underpins these actions. This spiritual motivation is what distinguishes acts of charity from mere philanthropy. It is the driving force that compels us to serve others selflessly, to give without expecting anything in return, and to continue loving even when it is difficult. This kind of love is not motivated by a desire for recognition or reward but is rooted in a deep connection with God, who is the source of all love. The strength that Paul speaks of in Philippians 4 verse 13 is intrinsically linked to this divine love. It is the strength that comes from knowing that we are loved by God and that this love empowers us to love others. When we are rooted in God's love, we find the strength to endure trials, to forgive wrongs, and to persevere in the face of adversity. This strength is not of our own making, it is a gift from God, a manifestation of His love working within us. It is this strength that enables us to act with courage and conviction, even when the road is difficult. It allows us to rise above our fears and insecurities, to extend grace to others, and to pursue justice and mercy in a world that often seems indifferent to these values. Moreover, the love that provides spiritual motivation is transformative. It changes the way we see the world and the people around us. When we are motivated by love, we begin to see others through the eyes of God, recognizing their inherent worth and dignity as His children. This perspective compels us to act in ways that reflect God's love, by serving others, advocating for the marginalized, and working to bring about a more just and compassionate society. Love motivates us to go beyond our own comfort zones, to take risks for the sake of others, and to make sacrifices in the name of justice and peace. It is a love that is active, dynamic, and always seeking to build up rather than tear down. The spiritual motivation provided by love also sustains us in times of weariness and discouragement. In the midst of life's challenges, it is easy to become disheartened or to lose sight of our purpose. However, when our actions are motivated by love, we are reminded of the greater purpose behind our efforts. Love gives us the strength to keep going, to persevere in the face of setbacks, and to trust that our labor is not in vain. It is love that reminds us that our work is not just about achieving results but about being faithful to the call that God has placed on our lives. This perspective allows us to find meaning and fulfillment in our work, even when the outcomes are not immediately visible. Furthermore, love as a spiritual motivation is deeply connected to the concept of self-giving. The love that God grants us is selfless and sacrificial, and it calls us to embody these same qualities in our relationships with others. This self-giving love is not about what we can gain, but about what we can give. It is about pouring ourselves out for the sake of others, following the example of Christ, who did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many. Matthew 20 verse 28. This kind of love requires strength that comes from God, who equips us to serve others with humility, grace, and perseverance. In addition to providing spiritual motivation, love also has the power to inspire others. When we act out of love, we set an example that others can follow. Our acts of love, motivated by the strength that God provides, can inspire others to do the same. This ripple effect of love can transform communities, bringing people together in a spirit of mutual support and cooperation. When others see the love of God at work in us, they are encouraged to seek that same love in their own lives, to open their hearts to God, and to extend that love to others. In this way, love not only motivates us but also has the power to motivate and uplift those around us. The material assistance that love motivates us to provide is important, but it is the spiritual motivation behind these acts that gives them their true value. When we help others, it is not just about meeting their immediate needs, it is about demonstrating the love of God in a tangible way. This kind of help is more than just a handout, it is an expression of God's love and care for each person. It is a reminder that they are not alone, that they are valued, and that they are loved by God and by their fellow human beings. This spiritual dimension of love is what makes our acts of service truly meaningful and transformative. When we love others, we are not merely engaging in a kind or moral act. We are fulfilling the very essence of God's teachings. Throughout the Bible, the command to love is central, echoing through the Old and New Testaments as the most fundamental and transformative of all divine instructions. In the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus summarizes the entirety of the law and the prophets with two commandments: to love God with all our heart, soul, and mind, and to love our neighbor as ourselves. Matthew 22 verses 37 to 39. These commandments are not separate or distinct, they are intrinsically linked, for to love others is to love God, and to love God is to naturally express that love through our actions toward others. When we love others, we embody the very nature of God, who is love, and in doing so, we align ourselves with His will and His purpose for humanity. The act of loving others is a direct reflection of our relationship with God. It is through love that we demonstrate our faith and our obedience to God's teachings. In 1 John 4 verse 20, we are reminded that whoever claims to love God yet hates a brother or sister is a liar. For whoever does not love their brother and sister, whom they have seen, cannot love God, whom they have not seen. This verse makes it clear that our love for others is a testament to our love for God. It is impossible to truly love God without also loving those whom He has created. When we show kindness, compassion, and forgiveness to others, we are living out the teachings of Jesus, who consistently emphasized the importance of loving one another. This love is not conditional or selective, it is meant to be extended to all people, regardless of their background, beliefs, or actions. It is a love that mirrors the unconditional and all-encompassing love that God has for each of us. Furthermore, love is a powerful tool that helps us draw closer to God, allowing us to feel His presence more intimately. When we love others, we create a connection not only with them but also with God. This connection is spiritual, deepening our understanding of God's nature and His desires for our lives. As we engage in acts of love, we begin to see the world through God's eyes, recognizing the beauty and worth in every person. This perspective draws us nearer to God, as we become more attuned to His voice and His guidance in our lives. The more we practice love, the more we open our hearts to the workings of the Holy Spirit, who fills us with the fruits of love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Galatians 5 verses 22 to 23. Love also facilitates a deeper intimacy with God by breaking down the barriers that often separate us from Him. Sin, pride, selfishness, and fear can all create distance between us and God, hindering our ability to feel His presence and hear His voice. However, when we choose to love others, especially when it is difficult or inconvenient, we actively work against these barriers. Love requires humility, selflessness, and a willingness to put others before ourselves, all of which are qualities that bring us into closer alignment with God's character. As we embody these qualities, we find that the distance between us and God diminishes, and we experience His presence more fully in our lives. Moreover, love is a conduit through which God's grace flows into our lives. When we love others, we open ourselves up to receive God's blessings in ways that are both unexpected and transformative. These blessings are not always material or tangible, often. They come in the form of spiritual growth, inner peace, and a deeper understanding of God's love for us. As we give love freely, without expecting anything in return, we find that God's love fills us to overflowing, enabling us to love even more deeply and widely. This reciprocal flow of love between us and God enriches our spiritual lives, making us more sensitive to His presence and more responsive to His guidance. In addition, love is a means by which we participate in God's redemptive work in the world. When we love others, we are partnering with God in bringing His kingdom to earth, as Jesus taught us to pray in the Lord's Prayer, "Your kingdom come. Your will be done, on earth as it is in heaven." Matthew 6 verse 10. Love is the driving force behind acts of justice, mercy, and reconciliation, all of which are central to the kingdom of God. By loving others, we help to manifest God's will on earth, creating spaces where His presence is felt and His purposes are fulfilled. This active participation in God's work not only draws us closer to Him but also deepens our understanding of His nature and His desires for the world. Furthermore, love allows us to experience the joy and peace that come from being in communion with God. When we love others, we are in harmony with God's will, and this harmony brings a profound sense of fulfillment and contentment. Jesus said, "My command is this, love each other as I have loved you. Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends." John 15 verses 12 to 13. This command to love as Jesus loved is not only a directive but also an invitation to experience the fullness of life that comes from living in accordance with God's will. As we love others sacrificially, as Jesus did, we enter into a deeper relationship with God, one that is characterized by trust, intimacy, and the assurance of His constant presence. In the process of loving others, we also find that our love for God grows stronger. The act of loving others is both an expression of our love for God and a way to deepen that love. As we serve others, we are reminded of God's love for us, and our hearts are filled with gratitude and praise. This gratitude strengthens our relationship with God, as we become more aware of His goodness and more eager to seek His will in all things. The more we love, the more we are drawn into the heart of God, where we find peace, joy, and the assurance of His abiding presence. The Bible verse from 1 John 4 verse 7, "Dear friends, let us love one another, for love comes from God. Everyone who loves has been born of God and knows God," beautifully captures the divine nature of love, emphasizing that it originates from God Himself. This verse reminds us that love is far more than a fleeting emotion shared between individuals. It is a sacred connection that binds us not only to one another but also to God, the source of all love. Love, in this sense, is both a gift and a responsibility, an invitation to participate in God's divine nature and a commandment to reflect that love in our relationships with others. In understanding love as a relationship with the Creator, we begin to see it as the very essence of our faith, transforming the way we relate to both God and those around us. At its core, this verse calls believers to embrace love as a fundamental expression of their relationship with God. The instruction to love one another is not merely a suggestion for harmonious living. It is a directive rooted in the very character of God. Since God is love, as stated in 1 John 4 verse 16, those who are born of God, those who have entered into a relationship with Him through faith, are called to reflect His love in their lives. This means that love is not optional for the believer, it is the defining characteristic of a life lived in communion with God. To love others is to mirror the love that God has for us. And in doing so, we demonstrate that we truly know God and are connected to Him. The phrase, "for love comes from God," reveals the divine origin of love, positioning it as more than a human emotion or a social construct. Love is a reflection of God's nature, a manifestation of His presence in the world. It is through love that God reveals Himself to humanity, offering grace, mercy, and redemption. In this sense, love is not something that we generate on our own, it is a gift that flows from God into our hearts and then outward to others. This understanding of love shifts the focus from a human-centered view to a God-centered one, reminding us that our capacity to love is a reflection of the divine image in which we were created. Furthermore, the verse highlights the transformative power of love in the believer's life. Everyone who loves has been born of God and knows God suggests that love is both evidence and fruit of a genuine relationship with God. To be born of God means to be spiritually regenerated, to experience a new birth through faith in Jesus Christ. This new birth brings about a transformation of the heart, where the love of God is poured out through the Holy Spirit. Romans 5 verse 5. Enabling us to love others in a way that reflects God's love. When we love others, it is a sign that we have experienced God's love firsthand and are living in alignment with His will. This understanding of love as a relationship with God also deepens our experience of love in human relationships. When we recognize that love comes from God, we begin to see our relationships with others in a new light. Love is no longer just about mutual affection or attraction, it becomes a sacred act of worship, a way of honoring God by reflecting His love in our interactions with others. In this way, love becomes a bridge that connects us not only to other people but also to the divine. Each act of love, whether it is a kind word, a generous gesture, or an expression of forgiveness, is a reflection of God's presence in the world, an opportunity to make His love visible and tangible. Moreover, love as a relationship with the Creator invites us into a deeper, more intimate relationship with God. When we love others, we are participating in the very life of God, who is love. This participation draws us closer to God, allowing us to experience His presence more fully. Love opens our hearts to receive God's grace and to extend that grace to others. It softens our hearts, making us more receptive to His guidance and more attuned to His voice. As we practice love, we grow in our knowledge of God, not just intellectually but experientially. We come to know God in a deeper way, as we see His love at work in our lives and in the lives of those around us. This divine relationship through love also shapes how we respond to others, particularly in challenging situations. When we understand that love is a reflection of our relationship with God, we are empowered to love even when it is difficult. Human love, on its own, is often conditional and limited. It can be influenced by our emotions, circumstances, or expectations. However, when our love is rooted in God, it transcends these limitations. God's love is unconditional, selfless, and unwavering, and as we draw closer to Him, we are enabled to love others in the same way. This kind of love allows us to forgive those who have wronged us, to show compassion to those who are suffering, and to serve others without seeking recognition or reward. It is a love that reflects the heart of God, who demonstrates his own love for us in this: while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. Romans 5 verse 8. The transformative power of love as a relationship with the Creator also extends beyond individual relationships to the broader community. Love has the power to heal divisions, to bridge gaps, and to bring about reconciliation. When we love others with the love of God, we become agents of his peace and justice in the world. We work to break down barriers of hatred, prejudice, and indifference, replacing them with understanding, compassion, and unity. This kind of love is revolutionary. It challenges the status quo and invites us to live in a way that reflects the values of God's kingdom. In this sense, love is not just a personal virtue but a collective force that has the power to transform societies and bring about lasting change. In addition, love as a relationship with the Creator gives us hope and strength in times of trial. When we face difficulties, whether personal, relational, or societal, it is the love of God that sustains us. His love reassures us that we are not alone, that He is with us in every situation, offering His comfort, guidance, and support. This love gives us the strength to persevere, to continue loving others even when it is difficult, and to trust that God is working all things together for good. Romans 8 verse 28. As we experience the depth of God's love, we are filled with a sense of peace and security, knowing that we are held in His hands and that His love will never fail. God, in His infinite wisdom and grace, has bestowed upon humanity one of the most powerful gifts imaginable: the capacity for unconditional love. This love, which mirrors the divine love God has for us, is not limited by conditions, circumstances, or expectations. It is a love that transcends human understanding, offering a reflection of the boundless, selfless, and eternal love that God has for all His creation. The capacity for such love is not something we can generate on our own. It is a divine gift, planted within our hearts by God Himself. This gift of unconditional love transforms our lives, enabling us to love others not for what they can do for us or how they make us feel, but simply for who they are, beloved children of God. Unconditional love, as granted by God, is a love that knows no bounds. It is not contingent on the actions, behavior, or worthiness of the recipient. Instead, it flows freely from a heart that has been touched by the divine. A heart that understands that love is not something to be earned, but something to be given. This kind of love is revolutionary in a world where relationships are often transactional, based on mutual benefit or personal gain. Unconditional love breaks through these limitations, offering a love that is pure, unselfish, and unwavering. It is the love that Jesus demonstrated throughout His life and ministry. A love that reached out to the marginalized, the sinners, and the outcasts, without judgment or reservation. The capacity for unconditional love is not only a blessing for those we love. It is also a profound blessing for us. When our hearts are filled with unconditional love, we experience a deep sense of peace and fulfillment. This love frees us from the need for approval or validation from others, as it is rooted in the knowledge that we are loved by God, unconditionally and completely. This assurance allows us to love others with a generosity and openness that transcends our own limitations. We are no longer bound by fear of rejection or disappointment, but are instead empowered to love freely and fully, trusting that God's love will sustain us. Moreover, the blessing of unconditional love extends beyond our personal relationships to guide every decision and action in our lives. When love becomes the guiding principle of our lives, it transforms the way we interact with the world around us. Every decision we make, every action we take, is influenced by this love. It compels us to act with kindness, compassion, and empathy, always seeking the good of others above our own interests. Love becomes the lens through which we view every situation, guiding us to respond with grace and understanding, even in the face of conflict or adversity. This guiding love also calls us to a higher standard of living. It challenges us to examine our motives, to question whether our actions are rooted in love or in self-interest. Love does not allow us to remain complacent or indifferent, it pushes us to grow, to stretch beyond our comfort zones, and to become more like Christ in our thoughts, words, and deeds. It is a love that seeks justice, that stands up for the oppressed, and that works tirelessly for peace and reconciliation. When love guides our decisions, we are no longer driven by fear, greed, or pride, but by a desire to reflect God's love in every aspect of our lives. In practical terms, this means that love influences how we approach our work, our relationships, and our responsibilities. In the workplace, love may guide us to act with integrity, to treat our colleagues with respect, and to use our skills and talents to serve others rather than to seek personal gain. In our families, love may guide us to be patient, to forgive quickly, and to prioritize the needs of our loved ones over our own. In our communities, love may guide us to reach out to those in need, to advocate for the vulnerable, and to build bridges of understanding and cooperation. In every area of our lives, when love is our guide, we become instruments of God's grace, bringing His light and hope to a world in need. Furthermore, when love guides our decisions and actions, we find that we are more aligned with God's will for our lives. God's will is always rooted in love, His love for us, and His desire for us to love others as He has loved us. When we allow love to guide us, we are more attuned to the leading of the Holy Spirit, who gently directs us to act in ways that honor God and bless others. This alignment with God's will brings a sense of purpose and direction to our lives, as we find ourselves participating in His redemptive work in the world. We become co-laborers with Christ, working to bring about God's kingdom on earth as it is in heaven. The blessing of love as a guiding force also brings a deep sense of inner peace. When we are motivated by love, we are free from the turmoil of selfish desires, fears, and anxieties. Love casts out fear, as the Apostle John reminds us in 1 John 4 verse 18, there is no fear in love, but perfect love drives out fear. This perfect love, which comes from God, gives us the confidence to act boldly and to trust that God is with us in every decision we make. We no longer need to worry about the outcome, because we know that when we act in love, we are acting in accordance with God's will, and He will bring about His good purposes in His perfect timing. The Bible verse from Colossians 3 verse 14. And over all these virtues put on love, which binds them all together in perfect unity, offers a profound insight into the central role of love in the Christian life. This verse suggests that love is not merely one virtue among many, but rather the essential element that brings all virtues into harmony and gives them their full expression. In this way, love is the key to all that is good, acting as the unifying force that holds together the various qualities that define a Christ-like character. Without love, even the most admirable virtues lose their meaning and effectiveness. With love, they are elevated, strengthened, and perfected. To understand the significance of this verse, it is important to consider the context in which it appears. In the preceding verses of Colossians 3, the Apostle Paul outlines a list of virtues that believers are called to embody: compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, patience, and forgiveness. These virtues are foundational to the Christian life, shaping the way we interact with others and live out our faith. However, Paul emphasizes that, above all these virtues, we are to put on love. This metaphor of putting on love suggests that love is like a garment that we must consciously choose to wear, enveloping ourselves in it so that it covers and permeates everything we do. The idea that love binds them all together in perfect unity indicates that love is the cohesive force that integrates these virtues into a harmonious whole. Each of the virtues Paul mentions is important, but without love, they can become disconnected or even distorted. For example, compassion without love might lead to pity rather than true empathy. Humility without love could become self-deprecation rather than genuine modesty. Love ensures that these virtues are expressed in a way that is aligned with God's will and that reflects His nature. It is love that gives these virtues their true power and purpose, enabling them to work together to create a life that is pleasing to God and beneficial to others. Moreover, love is the key to all that is good because it is the essence of God's character. The Bible teaches that God is love, 1 John 4 verse 8, meaning that love is not just an attribute of God but the very nature of who He is. Everything that God does is motivated by love. And all of His commandments are rooted in love. Jesus summed up the law and the prophets with two commandments: to love God with all our heart, soul, and mind, and to love our neighbor as ourselves. Matthew 22 verses 37 to 40. These commandments encapsulate the entire moral law, showing that love is the foundation of all righteousness and goodness. When we put on love, we are aligning ourselves with God's character and participating in His divine nature. Love is also the key to all that is good because it is the most powerful motivator for righteous action. While fear, duty, or a desire for reward might compel us to do good, love is the highest and purest motivation. When we are motivated by love, our actions are not driven by self-interest or a need for approval, but by a genuine concern for the well-being of others and a desire to honor God. Love leads us to go beyond the minimum requirements of the law, inspiring us to act with generosity, kindness, and self-sacrifice. It is love that moves us to forgive those who have wronged us, to serve those who cannot repay us, and to seek the good of others even at a cost to ourselves. In addition, love is the key to all that is good because it creates and sustains relationships. Human beings are created for relationship, with God and with one another, and love is the force that makes these relationships possible. Love fosters trust, respect, and mutual understanding, building strong and healthy connections between individuals and communities. In the absence of love, relationships deteriorate into conflict, division, and estrangement. But where love is present, relationships thrive, as love enables us to bear with one another, to forgive faults, and to work together for the common good. Love is the glue that holds families, friendships, and communities together, creating an environment where all can flourish. Furthermore, love is the key to all that is good because it has the power to transform lives. Love is not static. It is dynamic, active, and transformative. When we love others as God loves us, we become agents of change in the world. Love has the power to heal wounds, to reconcile enemies, and to bring light into the darkest situations. It is through acts of love that we can bring hope to the hopeless, comfort to the grieving, and justice to the oppressed. Love challenges us to see beyond our own needs and desires, to recognize the image of God in every person, and to work for a world where all people are treated with dignity and respect. This transformative power of love is a reflection of the transformative power of God's love in our own lives. Moreover, love is the key to all that is good because it endures. In 1 Corinthians 13, often referred to as the love chapter, Paul writes that love never fails, 1 Corinthians 13 verse 8. While other gifts and virtues may fade or pass away, love remains. It is eternal, because it is rooted in the eternal nature of God. This enduring quality of love means that it is not subject to the changing circumstances of life or the fickleness of human emotion. True love persists through trials, remains steadfast in the face of adversity, and continues to seek the good of others even when it is difficult. It is this enduring love that gives us the strength to persevere, to keep doing good, and to remain faithful to God's calling on our lives. The verse from Proverbs 19 verse 17, "Whoever is kind to the poor lends to the Lord, and He will reward them for what they have done," beautifully captures the essence of generosity and the spiritual significance of helping others, especially those who are in need. This verse reveals a profound truth: when we extend kindness to the poor, we are not merely performing a charitable act, we are engaging in an act of worship and devotion to God. In God's eyes, helping those who are less fortunate is akin to lending directly to Him. And He promises to reward such acts of kindness. This concept elevates the act of giving to a divine level, where it becomes a means of expressing our love for God and our trust in His provision. Moreover, helping from the heart brings immense joy and happiness to both the giver and the receiver, creating a cycle of blessing that enriches both lives. At the core of this verse is the idea that kindness to the poor is an expression of God's love and compassion. The poor, often marginalized and overlooked by society, hold a special place in God's heart. Throughout the Bible, God consistently calls His people to care for the poor, the widow, the orphan, and the stranger, those who are most vulnerable and in need. By extending kindness to the poor, we are participating in God's work of justice and mercy, reflecting His character and fulfilling His command to love our neighbors as ourselves. This act of kindness is not merely a duty or obligation, it is a privilege and an opportunity to partner with God in bringing His kingdom to earth. The verse also highlights the reciprocity involved in helping others. While we may think of giving as a one-way transaction, where the giver sacrifices something for the benefit of the receiver, this verse reminds us that the act of giving is, in fact, a two-way exchange. When we are kind to the poor, we are not just giving material aid, we are lending to the Lord. This metaphor of lending suggests that God Himself takes on the debt, and He promises to repay it. The repayment may not come in the form of material wealth, but in the form of spiritual blessings, inner peace, and the deep joy that comes from knowing we have made a positive impact in someone's life. Helping from the heart, as the verse implies, brings joy and happiness to both the giver and the receiver. For the giver, the act of helping from a place of genuine compassion and love brings a profound sense of fulfillment and purpose. There is a unique joy that comes from knowing that our actions have made a difference in someone else's life. This joy is not dependent on the size or scale of the act but on the sincerity and love with which it is done. Whether it is offering a meal to someone who is hungry, providing shelter to someone who is homeless, or simply offering a kind word to someone who is discouraged, these acts of kindness resonate deeply within us, affirming our connection to God and to each other. Moreover, helping from the heart has the power to transform the giver. When we give selflessly, without expecting anything in return, we are freed from the grip of materialism, selfishness, and fear. We become more aware of the needs of others and more attuned to the leading of the Holy Spirit. This act of giving reshapes our priorities, teaching us to value relationships and human dignity over possessions and wealth. It also deepens our trust in God, as we learn to rely on His provision rather than hoarding our resources for ourselves. In this way, helping from the heart is not just an act of charity but a spiritual discipline that draws us closer to God and transforms our character to be more like Christ. For the receiver, the act of receiving kindness is equally transformative. In a world where the poor are often ignored, judged, or stigmatized, receiving help from someone who genuinely cares can restore a sense of dignity and worth. It communicates to the receiver that they are seen, valued, and loved, not just by the person who helps them, but by God Himself. This realization can bring hope, encouragement, and a renewed sense of purpose to someone who may be struggling with despair or hopelessness. The joy that comes from receiving help is not just about having a physical need met. It is about experiencing the love and grace of God through the actions of another person. This verse also reminds us that helping others is an act of faith. When we lend to the Lord by being kind to the poor, we are trusting that God will honor His promise to reward us. This reward is not necessarily material wealth or prosperity, it is the spiritual richness that comes from living in accordance with God's will. It is the peace of mind that comes from knowing we are contributing to God's work in the world, and the joy of seeing lives changed for the better. This faith-driven generosity reflects our belief that God is the ultimate provider, and that we can give freely and generously because we trust in His provision for our own needs. Love is the cornerstone of a meaningful and fulfilled life, embodying the highest virtues and the deepest connections we can experience as human beings. It is the fundamental force that binds us to one another and to God, shaping our relationships, guiding our actions, and giving our lives purpose and direction. Throughout history, love has been recognized as the supreme value, transcending all other virtues and serving as the foundation upon which true happiness and harmony are built. To fully understand the importance of love in life, we must consider its multifaceted role as a source of personal fulfillment, a driver of social cohesion, and a reflection of the divine nature of God. At the personal level, love is the source of our deepest joys and most profound experiences. It is through love that we form the bonds that sustain us, bonds with family, friends, and partners that provide us with comfort, support, and a sense of belonging. Love gives us the courage to face life's challenges, the resilience to overcome difficulties, and the strength to persevere in the face of adversity. It is the force that motivates us to grow, to become better versions of ourselves, and to strive for greater heights in our personal and professional lives. Love also brings us peace, contentment, and a sense of fulfillment, as it aligns our lives with our highest values and deepest desires. Moreover, love is not just an emotion, it is a choice and a commitment. It requires us to act with kindness, compassion, and empathy toward others, even when it is difficult or inconvenient. Love calls us to put the needs of others before our own, to forgive those who have wronged us, and to seek reconciliation and peace in our relationships. This selfless love, which mirrors the love that God has for us, is what gives life its true meaning and purpose. It is through love that we find the strength to forgive, the courage to pursue justice, and the compassion to care for those who are vulnerable or in need. Love also plays a critical role in fostering social cohesion and building strong, healthy communities. It is the glue that holds societies together, creating bonds of trust, respect, and mutual support. In a world that is often divided by differences in race, religion, culture, and ideology, love serves as a unifying force that transcends these divisions and brings people together. When we choose to love our neighbors as ourselves, we contribute to the creation of a more just, peaceful, and compassionate society. Love inspires us to work for the common good, to stand up for the rights of others, and to promote understanding and cooperation among different groups. Furthermore, love is a reflection of the divine nature of God. The Bible teaches us that God is love, 1 John 4 verse 8. Meaning that love is not just an attribute of God but the very essence of who He is. This divine love is unconditional, selfless, and eternal, and it is the model for how we are called to love others. When we love others, we are participating in the life of God, reflecting His love to the world, and fulfilling His commandments. This love is not limited to those who are easy to love or those who are like us. It extends to everyone, including our enemies and those who have hurt us. This radical, all-encompassing love is the highest expression of our faith and the most powerful force for good in the world. Living according to the love that God has bestowed upon us means making love the guiding principle of our lives. It means allowing love to influence every decision we make, every action we take, and every relationship we build. It means choosing love over fear, kindness over cruelty, and forgiveness over resentment. It means being willing to sacrifice our own comfort and convenience for the sake of others and being open to the transformative power of love in our lives. When we live according to love, we experience the fullness of life that God desires for us. We find joy in serving others, peace in forgiving those who have wronged us, and fulfillment in living out our faith in tangible ways. Love becomes the lens through which we view the world, helping us to see the beauty in others, the goodness in creation, and the potential for positive change in even the most challenging situations. Love gives us the courage to take risks, to stand up for what is right, and to pursue our dreams with passion and determination. Moreover, living according to love has a ripple effect, influencing not only our own lives but the lives of those around us. When we love others, we inspire them to love as well, creating a chain reaction of kindness, compassion, and goodwill that can transform our communities and the world. Love is contagious, it spreads from person to person, bringing light to dark places and hope to those who are struggling. By choosing to live according to love, we become agents of change, working to build a world where love, justice, and peace reign. In addition, living according to love aligns us with God's will and purpose for our lives. God's commandments are rooted in love. And when we choose to live according to love, we are fulfilling His greatest commandments, to love Him with all our heart, soul, and mind, and to love our neighbors as ourselves. Matthew 22 verses 37 to 39. This alignment with God's will brings us into deeper communion with Him, allowing us to experience His presence and guidance in our lives. It also brings us a sense of peace and assurance, knowing that we are living in accordance with God's plan and purpose for us. Furthermore, living according to love prepares us for eternity. The Bible teaches that love is eternal, outlasting all other virtues and gifts. 1 Corinthians 13 verse 13. When we live according to love, we are investing in what will last forever, the love of God and the love of others. This eternal perspective helps us to prioritize what is truly important in life and to focus on building relationships that reflect the love of God. It also gives us hope for the future, knowing that the love we share in this life will continue in the life to come. In conclusion, the importance of love in life cannot be overstated. Love is the foundation of a meaningful and fulfilled life, the key to building strong and healthy communities, and the highest expression of our faith. By choosing to live according to the love that God has bestowed upon us, we align ourselves with His will, experience the fullness of life, and become agents of positive change in the world. Let us, therefore, make love the guiding principle of our lives, allowing it to influence every decision, action, and relationship. In doing so, we will fulfill God's commandments, reflect His love to the world, and experience the joy, peace, and fulfillment that come from living in accordance with His will.